You know, when you see a grocery store donating food, it's pretty easy to just see it as a simple act of charity, right? A good deed. They're helping the community, they're cutting down on waste. And honestly, for a long, long time, that really was the whole story.
I mean, it's a fantastic public relations move. The store looks like a local hero, and food gets to people who really need it. It feels like this perfect win-win situation, and you just assume it's all driven by goodwill.
All right, but here's where it gets really interesting. What if I told you there's a super compelling business case behind all that generosity, a kind of hidden economic engine that can actually make giving food away more profitable than selling it?
So, we're going to kick things off by looking at the surprising financial incentives that have turned food donation into a core business strategy for a lot of major retailers. Okay, so check out this logic. Research from Professor John Lowry found something fascinating. When a store donates those items that are getting a little older, like a banana with a few brown spots, it's not just getting rid of it. It's actually clearing valuable shelf space for fresh, high-margin products. This makes the whole store seem higher quality, which attracts customers who are willing to pay more, and it kind of pushes out the folks who are just there hunting for a bargain. And this number right here, this is what shows the real impact. According to that same research, if a store ramps up its donations by 50%, it could see its profits jump by as much as 9%. That is a huge incentive. So this isn't just about saving a few bucks on disposal fees, it's a really smart, calculated move to boost the brand and the bottom line.
Now, let's zoom out for a second, because this whole business strategy is happening against the backdrop of two absolutely enormous societal problems: an unbelievable amount of waste on one hand, and widespread hunger on the other. To get a sense of the scale, just think about this. Way back in 1997, a study estimated that the US was wasting around 96 billion pounds of food every single year. And the crazy part is, pretty much every study since then shows that number has only gotten bigger. Now let's put a price tag on that. By 2008, the value of food wasted just by stores and by us at home, not even counting farms or anything else, was over $165 billion. That is an incredible amount of economic value just being thrown in the trash. And where does it all go? Well, this chart says it all. Food is the single biggest thing we throw into our landfills. It makes up more than 20% of all that trash. It just sits there, rots, and produces methane gas, which is a huge contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. And here is the absolute gut-wrenching paradox in all of this. While we're throwing away billions and billions of pounds of perfectly good food, a USDA report found that more than 50 million Americans, including millions of kids, live in homes where they don't know where their next meal is coming from. So, if we have this massive surplus of food over here and a massive hunger problem over there, the solution seems so simple, right? Just connect the two. But for decades, a huge barrier stood in the way, and it all came down to one powerful emotion: fear. I mean, put yourself in the shoes of a big grocery chain. You want to do the right thing and donate your extra food, but you're terrified. What if someone gets sick? What if you get sued into oblivion? This fear of being held liable was the single biggest thing stopping businesses from donating perfectly edible food. The problem was really a one-two punch. First, you had this confusing mess of state laws. Every state was different. For a national company, that was a complete nightmare to navigate. Second, there was this legal idea of strict liability, which basically meant a company could get sued and lose even if they did absolutely nothing wrong. The risk just felt way too high. But then, in 1996, Congress finally stepped in with a landmark law that was designed to completely break this logjam once and for all. It's called the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Food Donation Act, and its goal was really simple: create one clear national standard to get businesses to donate food by protecting them from lawsuits. So, here's the crucial part. Here's how it works. The act basically says that as long as you donate food in good faith, you can't be held liable if something goes wrong. The only way you can get in trouble is for gross negligence or intentional misconduct, which is just a fancy way of saying you knowingly donated something that you knew would harm someone. This simple change just wiped away the biggest fear. And this protection is incredibly broad. I mean, it covers almost everyone in the entire food chain. We're talking farmers, manufacturers, grocery stores, restaurants, schools, hospitals, all the way down to the food banks that are actually distributing the food. It created this huge legal shield that just opened the floodgates for billions of pounds of food. So that 1996 law really laid the foundation for the huge food donation system we have today. But now, of course, technology is introducing a completely new model to tackle the exact same problem.
Let's just ask a different question. What if there was a way to turn that surplus food into a little bit of revenue while still keeping it out of the landfill? Well, that's the big idea behind a whole new wave of mobile apps.
Let's take an app like Too Good To Go. The concept is genius in its simplicity. At the end of the day, a bakery or a cafe or a grocery store just packages up its unsold items into what they call a surprise bag. You buy it through the app for like a third of the original price, and you just go pick it up. The store makes a little money, you get a great deal, and food doesn't go to waste.
And let me tell you, this model is absolutely exploding. In just 5 years, the number of meals saved through this one app went from around 6 million to over 120 million. It's just incredible proof that a market-based, for-profit solution can have a massive impact on the waste problem. So what we've got now are these two powerful systems running side by side. You have the traditional donation model, which directly fights hunger and is built on charity and volunteers. And then you have this new app-based market, which creates a commercial incentive for businesses to reduce their waste. They're very different approaches, but they're both going after the same fundamental problem.
When you really step back and look at it, it's a fascinating evolution. We went from a system that was totally paralyzed by legal fears to a system that was unlocked by a single law, which then paved the way for both nonprofit and for-profit innovations that are now rescuing billions of meals. And this all leaves us with a final, really important question. As we look ahead, which model holds more promise? Is it the charitable system that directly feeds people in need, or is it the market-based system that prevents waste for a profit? Or maybe the real future lies in finding the perfect balance between the two.